Hello, scholars and mathematicians. Welcome to this edition of Mobile Math Academy's Black History. We are going to talk about the achievements and contributions of mathematicians of color who have made some tremendous contributions to the field of mathematics and education. So stay tuned for this episode. Let's get started. All right, mathematicians. So in this episode, we are going to talk about a mathematician by the name of Hypatia. Now, Hypatia was born in either 350 or 370 AD. We're still not sure about that. And she died 415 AD. And she was born in, or she lived in Alexandria, Egypt. Now, she is most known for her skills in mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. So she was a smart sister. At any rate, the rise of universities in ancient Greece actually laid the groundwork for modern university education and eventually for the breakthroughs of today, with teachers presenting subjects like philosophy and rhetoric alongside mathematics and astronomy. So so these courses are not really taught in isolation. There's the contribution of ancient Greece actually laid the groundwork for the way that math is taught today. At any rate, one such professor was Theon of Alexandria, and he was the father of Hypatia. And he taught math at the local university, and he wrote commentaries on some of the greatest scientific works of ancient Greece, including Euclid's Elements and Ptolemy's Almagest. Okay, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. At any rate, Theon passed his passion for learning on to his daughter Hypatia. Now, little known fact, Theon actually wanted a son, but because he had a daughter, because he wanted to pass this knowledge on to a son, but he ended up having a daughter. And so he passed his passion for learning on to his daughter, and she helped him write commentaries, and her reputation actually ended up surpassing his, right? Which was really interesting, especially back in those days. So Hypatia, she actually studied philosophy, astronomy, and mathematics in Athens, Greece, before she became head of the Neoplatonist school in Alexandria around the turn of the 5th century. She was particularly skilled in speaking, and many people from other cities actually flocked to the intellectual center of Egypt to hear her lectures. Now, I want you guys to do your Googles on Alexandria, Egypt, because Alexandria was like the center of the world in terms of intellectual knowledge. So when you go, all of the great philosophers actually learned their skills from in Alexandria, Egypt. So do your Googles and do your research on Alexandria, because a lot of the academic books were actually burned and destroyed that were in Alexandria, with the library where all of the greatest information was actually housed. I wonder why it was burned. Anyway, I digress. All right, so she was particularly skilled as a speaker, and many people from other cities flocked to the intellectual center of Egypt to hear her lectures. Okay, now within mathematics, she is best known for her work on Apollonius' treatise on conic sections. Now, conic sections, you'll learn a lot about conic sections in your calculus course, and this is which divided cones into different parts using flat geometric planes. You also study it in geometry too. And introduce the concepts of the parabola, the hyperbola, and the ellipse. So you'll study this in geometry and you'll also delve into it in calculus, but just know, think about Hypatia when you do those studies. All right, so Hypatia unfortunately paid a really heavy price for her pursuit of knowledge, and sadly enough, her history is really quite gruesome. And you can actually see her story on in a movie called Agora, and this was filmed in 2009. And there are also plays about Hypatia, so do your research on Hypatia. Great, great, great mathematician. But the Bishop of Alexandria spread virulent rumors about her. And one day in 415, she was actually attacked by a Christian mob. Very interesting. Stripped, stabbed to death with broken pottery, and dragged through the streets. That's how she died. Very unfortunate, very, very sad, but a brilliant mathematician, Hypatia, and she was from Alexandria, Egypt. So do your Googles on her. I hope this was some really, really helpful information. Check out the book where this information, where I got this information from. It's scrolling down at the bottom. Very good book with many, many mathematicians spotlighted in their accomplishments and contributions. Thank you so much for joining this episode, and we'll be back next time with another amazing mathematician. Talk to you soon.